Hello everyone, my name is Saksham Dikshit and this is my channel Pentest Diary. So today I'll make another video on the same series of lazy programming series, and soon we are completing this series itself. So in this video itself I'll try to cover two concepts itself. One is a request module, another one is a JSON module itself. In case of request module, what's the purpose of it? So basically, to get it done, the process for the HTTP request and handle the response for it, we are required the requests module all the time itself when we are writing the code in Python for performing the operations for the HTTP request and the response, handling the response itself. For it, we are required to have the module which called the requests. Talking about in further itself how to get it install it, this is the command which you have to use it. If by default is not present, so definitely at the time when you're like if you're using a PyCharm or something else itself as a compiler itself, you simply have to get it install this. Okay, so this is one of the module which is not a built-in one, you have to get it installed. Going further with that, talking about making a get request, let's start with the basics. If we're talking about the get request module provides a get function which allow you to retrieve data from a specific URL. So taking example, if I want to retrieve some data from a specified URL, then in that case I simply have to put the URL, and the syntax which we are seeing on right now, like this is a syntax which you are seeing it right now. A request is a module, and in that itself there is a function, a get function is over there itself. So we simply have to import this library first. Then after that, inside of it, we can say this is the name of the variable itself in which we just want to get it copy the content. Then after that, we are defining it. Request is one of the module which we are already importing it. Now inside of it, we have the function dot get, and this is a URL which we are mentioning through which we want to retrieve the data. That to be get it captured into the response, and to get that on our screen, we wanted in an appropriate text format. That was the reason we are using response.text. This is the actual stuff which we're looking for it. Okay, this is all about the get request when you're making the request for the get method itself. So handling the response, if we're talking about the handling, how we handle the response itself. To handle the response also, like there are few customizations of the code for the same thing. Like we can retrieve like using request.get itself. We have to use that function, and then we have to put the URL. Through that we are getting the response, but to have that response in appropriate formatting for it, to make it in appropriate format so that it's readable for a user in an appropriate way, then in that case we have to use this way. We simply have to define it as status code response body, like whatever the response body we have it, we have to get it print that also, and headers, whatever the headers we are utilizing over there itself, that header to be get it printed. So everything to be get it reflected, and we have to utilize these response dot status underscore code. Then we have to use a response dot text, like as always, like when we want to print the content in front, whatever the response we are getting, we want to print it that on our screen, then we have to use a response dot text. And the last one is a response dot header, where we are simply getting the headers, whatever the headers we're utilizing in this request, we'll definitely get that. So list of it to be get it printed. So that is a handling response. Now going with the post request, so in case of like get, we are just retrieving that, but in case of post, we are sending the data also. This is also one of the function which we are having inside of the request method, in which what exactly is happening, like this module having the get method also, and even also having the post method. So if we are using a post method, then in that case we can send the data also from our side. So that is the way we are defining one of the data, whatever the data key and the values we have to get it defined. Then we have to simply have to mention what data I just want to get it transfer along with the URL itself to be done the syntax, and then after that the response will be get it printed. So whatever the response you're getting it, that was one of the thing you are getting. Like once you are uploading, once you're sending the data, whatever the data you're sending it, you get the response. That response to be get it printed on our screen. Going further with that, this is most important, handling the error itself. Like talking about handling the error, so like when we are handling, like take example, if you're trying you're trying to retrieve the data from some of the URL itself, but unfortunately you're not getting any data, like you are getting either 500 or some other status code you're getting instead of 200. Okay, then in that case, or in couple of cases you're getting some error on your screen, like which is different type of error itself. Then in that case, just to get it handled in a code itself, like if I'm running it, I definitely want a code to be get reflected like a status code. But other than that, if I'm getting some error, so just to handle the error itself, I have to make some arrangement in my code so that it's not look bad for a person when that person is running. Like if that URL is not reachable, instead of just getting everything in inappropriate way, we just have to make it a customized error over there itself, so that we can able to understand, we can retrieve that, and we can sort it out using error handling problem to be get it done. Like when we are using a except like try or except over there itself, by that way we can overcome the problem of the error handling. To overcome that problem, it simply have to use that, like this is we already aware about from our last lecture itself, try and accept, else, and finally. So this is the one. So if this statement will be get it fulfilled, then in that case definitely no one else will be get it trigger. But taking example, if this is not fulfilled, then in that case second condition of the accept will be get it trigger, but this is for a specified condition of the error itself. If that is also not the condition and the error is something different, then in that case else condition will be get it trigger, where we are going with the exception itself, and this will be get it triggered. Okay, this is all about the handling errors when we are talking about it. Now we talk about the advanced uses. So the request module offer advanced feature like a session management, authentication, cookie, proxies, SSL verification, and other more about it. If you are doing a pen testing, like if you're aware about doing the pen testing, these are the things which we are normally checking. Like session management is one of the things which we have to check it whether the session is getting expired as per the appropriate timeline or not, whatever time defined for the application as idle. Like taking example, you get it login and then after that you leave the session idle, then how long that session will be active, that is coming under the category of the session management. Authentication, at the time of the authentication, how like pre and the post, how exactly the session ID will be get it transferred, whether it's same, that is also one of the things we have to check it. Cookies also we have to check it. Proxies also we have to check it. SSL verification, we have to check whether the certificate is appropriate in place or not, either it's having whatever the ciphers is get it utilized, it's old ciphers they are using it or what, we have to get it verified with that. So that's everything is coming under this category of it. To get those details about it, and these to be get it offer in the advanced uses. So talking about like session management, if we're talking about the pure session management itself, so creating a session, we are creating a session in such a way where we have to use a syntax as a request dot session. This is a syntax we have to use it by which we are creating a session, and that to be get it transferred inside the session variable itself. Now talking about the multiple requests within the same session. So even if I just wanted like same session having multiple requests, how exactly this will happen? This will be get it mapped. So the response 1 and response 2, these are the two response we are building it. I'll try to map the session, and when I'm pulling the data from the target URL itself, at that time itself it get mapped for the response one, and the another one is mapped for the response two. So this session ID, this session management is one of the thing which we are creating in, by which we are try to map it our request, and that request it get it mapped over there itself. So when we get the response, that session is get it mapped, so we aware about it, this response we are getting for this session itself, which we have generated for this user itself. So everything we are getting it inside of it. This is for the single user, we are requesting multiple requests, we are triggering it from our side, and we are getting a multiple response over there itself. But this is for a single session itself, we are not talking about multiple users, we're talking about a single user having a session, and at that time itself multiple requests to be get a trigger, and we get the response appropriately, and that to be get it mapped. And at the end itself we simply have to close that session. That was all about the advanced uses. This is a code which we have to cover in the practical section for it, don't worry about it. Now going to the JSON module, this is one of the module which I can say that most of the time, like when you're writing a small simpler type of code, then definitely you're not utilizing it. But wheresoever you're writing a code where you have to say sending a traffic, a serialized traffic or serialized traffic, then at that time itself you have to utilize it. So how exactly this module will work, I will explain you about it. So JSON module in Python provides a function to serialize, convert from Python object to the JSON string. That's one of the thing this will do. Other than that, decentralize, where convert a JSON string to a Python object data itself. So whatever we are getting it in both the ways, like in a serialized or decentralized, both the ways the data will be get converted to the another one, and it act as a bridge between a Python data structure and the JSON itself. So like basically our module in between, working as a bridge for both a Python data along Python data structure along with the JSON itself. So that was one of the thing. This module is coming in between of it. Talking about the serialized Python to JSON itself. So in this case itself, what exactly the things is happening? We are converting a Python object to the JSON strings. Then in that case, we have to use, this is the syntax which we have to use it, JSON.terms. By this way, we are effectively doing the things which we want to get it converted from the Python to the JSON strings itself. We can get that. Okay. Going further with that, this is a conversion one which you're getting it. And over here itself, you can see like this is the appropriate dictionary which we are creating in a Python one which we are defining it. This is a module we have to get it defined. This is a dictionary we are giving it over there itself to be get it defined with the keys and the values. Now going further with that, if we want to make that content appropriate, we wanted that to be get it converted from Python data to the JSON strings itself, that to be get it converted. So data will be passed over here itself, and this is the actual, I can say that is the function which we are utilizing is a part of the module of the JSON itself, and by that way we are storing a data, the content out of it, coming out of it, we are storing inside of the JSON underscore data, and that to be get it reflected when you're trying to print the value. Then in that case, the appropriate content we can see on our screen itself. This is all about the first thing which we discussed about the serialized one. Similar like that in case of deserialization in itself, it's in this case itself the data is going from the JSON to the Python object itself. So JSON strings to be get it converted to the Python object itself, that to be get it done over here, and for which we are using a syntax JSON.load. So load is the function we are using it just to conduct that type of stuffs. Over here also we are defining a data, then we have to use a syntax over here, it says JSON.load and loads. Other than that, we have simply to pass the data itself, the name of the data where we are storing a dictionary, key and the values, do we get it pass over here, sir, and that's it. So it's similar like the serialized one and deserialized. Okay, not much difference over there itself, little bit syntax difference over there itself. Now over there itself we have to use the terms, and over here itself we have to use the loads. Talking about the complex handling, so handling also one of the thing which we have to do it. So taking example Python Python JSON module seamlessly handles complex data types, and a list, tuple, dictionary, integer, float, string, and even custom objects can be get it handled inside of using the Python JSON. I can say that a module, when you're using it, we can handle such type of data, like different type of data we can get it handle over there itself. It's automatically convert them to their JSON equivalent and vice versa. So as per the requirement, it's automatically get it converted, either a vice versa itself, that will be get it done. So what I mean by that, over here itself we are passing a dictionary over here itself, and we are using a JSON.terms, and by that way itself we are getting the result. So it looks like a similar one only from the top. Okay, nothing else. Now talking about the pretty printing. So what is that? So pretty printing is one of the thing, I can say that this is a situation where we are getting a content on our screen in a more readable, human readable format, instead of like normally whatever the human readable format we are getting of the JSON itself. Above that, we are getting a human readable content we are getting on our screen using this section for it. So if we're talking about this section itself, we simply have to use a JSON.down. So, and by that way itself, we are getting a human readable content appropriately on our screen itself. So this is the one where we are just we are passing it, and this is one of the thing we have to pass it along with that, that is a intent equal to 4, and by that way the content will be get reflected on our screen, which is a human readable one. Now going further with the error handling, and that is most important in all the cases, like whenever we are doing anything over there itself, we wanted the error handling should be overcome, the like we do not want any error to be getting reflected on our screen. If it's get reflected, we should require the error handling to be there. So that was the reason this is also coming under the category of the JSON itself, where what exactly the thing, we are just making one of the JSON string over here, and then we are trying over here itself to be get it loads. If it goes well, then it's good, otherwise that to be another condition will get it trigger, that's a except one, and that's it. So this is all about the theory. This is a practical section for it. I will cover that in a practical. So I think everything is covered with the theory part. I know this is a lot of things to be get to understand in a short period of time, but I know it. But the thing is that the documents I'm providing to you and even the practical, I will show you that so that you can able to correlate the stuff well. You can able to understand. Like instead of mug up the stuff, just try to understand the concept. There is nothing like that. You have to read everything and mug up the stuffs which are mentioned in 10 pages. No, there's nothing like that. Just understand the concept. Even at the time when I'm making the video, I'll try to understand the concept first. Just instead of making that content and just read the content, that's okay. Reading the content is one of the things. Just to make you understand with that actual stuff which you're looking for it, that is the most important thing for me. Like I do not want like the things to be like which is not even understand to me also, and I'm making the content for you. That is not at all be a preference point for me. So now what I'm supposed to do, I'll go to the practical section for it, and this is the code. So this is a code for the first one, that is a request, and this is the code for the another one which you got as the JSON module. Okay, so the first one, I can say that a request module itself, what exactly is happening inside of it, that I'll try to get it covered. So I'll just start with this section and then I'll go to the methods, or I can say the functions itself. So we just have to define it this over here itself. Okay, then after that we are defining two URLs over here itself, and that to be get a transfer inside of these variables. That variables to be get a transfer for the get and the post. Two categories we are doing, we are writing the code for it, one for the get request and another for the post. We are printing this on our screen. Then we have to pass this, like this is a method, I can say that a function name over here itself, and we are passing these things. So whatever the content we are getting out of this from this URL itself, that URL to be get it copied over here itself. And then after that, similar like that in this case also, along with the URL we are passing a data. So like as is a post request, we'll simply have to pass the data also. So that was the reason a data to be get it defined in a dictionary format, and that to be get a transfer for the another one, that is a post request. Okay, now going to the method section. So we are going to the method section. We can receive that URL, whatever the URL we're passing it. Now we go inside of the try itself. We simply have to get the data. We are using the request.get, that is the function we are using it of the module request. Get the data. Once we get the data itself, we simply have to check the status over whether it's a 200 okay or not. If it's a 200 okay, simply we have to print the content on our screen. If it's not, then in that case it's going to the else condition, where we simply have to print the status code over there itself. Okay, in case if any error is coming over, like instead of just a code we are getting some error also, so the except will be get it run over there itself, and this error will be get like this message to be get printed on our screen. So make sure, like if you're getting some status code, nothing any error, then in that case except will not trigger. But if you're getting along with that you are getting an error also, then in that case definitely this condition will be get it fulfilled, and this will be get it printed on our screen. Now going to the post section, it is similar like that. We simply have to pass the URL. Then after that, data is also one of the things which we have to pass it. We simply have to pull out the content. We are sending our data over there itself, along with like what are the URL we are trying to get it approach. Once it's done, we are getting 200 okay in response. If it's well, then in that case this condition will be get it fulfilled, and we are triggering with all the stuffs. If it's not, definitely we are going with this section, and the code, whatever the code we are getting in the response, if it's not 200, definitely that code to be get it printed. Going further with that, if you're talking about the last one, as similar like the get one, it's over here also. If we are getting some error, then this except condition will be get it trigger, and this message to be get it print on our screen for the post. So I hope you are able to understand when I run this code. So you can able to see for the get I'm getting this response, and the post also I'm getting this response. So for the post I'm getting this 201. Okay, you're seeing it, I'm getting 201. So if I'm getting 200, then the try condition will get a trigger. If as the status code is 200 201, and that was a created content, as I'm creating something, so that was the reason the next condition of the else will be get a trigger, and I'm getting that appropriate content. Okay, so I hope you're aware about this, and let me go to the next URL, or I can say the next code. So this is the next code. Here we have to import a JSON. If I forget about to mention you, like we have to import this request also on the top of it. This is a module we have to import it. Similar like that in case of another one for the JSON module, we have to import the JSON module. Then going further with that, this is a data we have to get it defined from our side. Manually, we are defining it right now. Now, after that, what exactly? This is the main section which is required. So for the serialized Python to the JSON string itself, what exactly the things is happening? I simply have to pass that to dumps, and then the data, whatever the data we are mentioning over there, that to be get it utilized over there itself, and then to be get it printed. Okay, to be get on a screen. So we are just getting that as we are converting a Python object to the JSON string. So that was the reason we are utilizing a serialized one, and we are putting the data over here itself and using dot dumps as a function, and by that way we can able to print that. Similar like the in case of deserialized one, where we are converting our JSON string to the Python object itself, and here we are mentioning a Python dictionary. That's also okay. Now decoding one is happening. That was the reason we are using dot load. We are putting the data, whatever the data we are getting it, we have to get it done with that, and then after that this will be get it print on our screen, and the final whatever the output you are receiving in this, you get it print over here itself. So I hope you're able to understand. Let me run this code and you can able to see. In the first case we are getting that in a serialized format, and in the second case we are getting in a deserialized format itself. So I hope you are able to understand both the concept for the JSON and even for the request method. And like you can utilize these concept, like you have to start making the code where you're utilizing these concept. That was a way by which you can able to understand these concept very well, instead of going further with that. So I hope you like this video. If you like this video, please subscribe my channel, and if you like to provide the feedback, you can provide the feedback in the comment section of this video. So thank you so much once again. Take care. Bye bye.